Good evening. My name is Daumantas, and I'm co-founder and CEO at TransferGo. For those who don't know, we move money across borders more efficiently than banks, Western unions of this world. But I'm here not to talk about us. It's a nice occasion to be able to talk about something else when I stand up and talk. I'll promise to be less entertaining than Eddie, because I just don't want to compete on that. But what I'll try to do is give you a different perspective of how to look at conferences. Because for most people, they are events that you go and you don't really know why you're there. But I'm going to show you a different way and actually try to convince you that they're actually really important. And as Rimantė, when she introduced us, told us that we have done a lot in our early stages of development by going to conferences. I mean, this is where I met my possible investors in that time, did a lot of business development there, and really built my network very efficiently. So my talk is going to be how to make the most of tech conferences. And I'm talking about tech conferences specifically. So I know that there are startup people here. I know that there is people who are looking to do something interesting. This is for both of these segments, right? So it's equally important for people who don't know what they're doing to go into these conferences, because then you have a better idea. And it's also important for startups because that should be their bread if they're in business development. So how to make most? One thing about startup conferences. Investors and individuals who attend them from the other side of the table pay a lot of money to be there. And the reason why they do that, because they get to meet many of you at one time at the same place. And they save a lot on travel, and they make deals there. So they actually will meet you and think about investing. It's not just a way for them to spend their pastime. So this is very important when you think about conferences like Slush, like Login, like TechCrunch Disrupt, any of those tech conferences. They're important, and there's Sequoia Capitals of this world just waiting for you to come. So that's why you should also take them seriously. So first thing that we should do is, as Eddie mentioned, I will not go into this, but it's important to define what's your goal in the conference. And that goal might be to meet a speaker and just pick their brain about your idea, not sell to anyone. Might be your goal is to get inspired, go to Login and listen to Wozniak, which is another goal, and you should be very clear, which is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong about that. Third is to raise $37 million. Maybe that's not going to happen at the conference, but your approach to how you behave in that conference should be a bit different. So I'm now going to be speaking about more of a startup approach to conferences, but you can apply this to any of your spheres. So define goals. So that goal could be as what I mentioned. So do LinkedIn stalking prior. This is my third company. In my first company, I moved to Silicon Valley, and I didn't know a single person, me and my co-founder. What we've done, we bought a LinkedIn Premium, and we pretty much harassed every single person in a very, very polite way to get to have a copy with us and meet us. And that was even without a conference. He was just approaching, hey, we're nice guys from the Baltics. You know where the Baltics is, let's meet. We have some idea which is interesting and looks like Pinterest. Awesome, they went up, they met up with us. So this is directly applicable to startup conferences. Before you go to a conference, in the conference there's always people who are attending the conference. So they put that list of investors there for a reason. For you to go, check out all their LinkedIns, see who you have in their connections. And if you don't have a connection for them, buy a premium. Invest money because it's going to pay off. It's all about connections. And when you do that LinkedIn stalking, figure out people who are most relevant to you, to your goal. So maybe you want to meet Wozniak. That sounds like a good idea. How do I get in front of him? You know, it's never like, these people are there to meet you, so they're never distant. So you can always do that. But it's important to then work your way up to actually get an introduction to that person and to make that meeting happen. Another rule that I always apply, if you are there for a specific reason, and that reason is mostly to raise money or meet interesting or important people for you, arrange at least 50% of your meetings prior to. So, hello, I know you're coming down to the conference. I'm going to be there as well. I have this idea in one sentence, what Eddie's told. Like, I do Tinder for dogs, and it's going to be awesome because dogs can pay money. And that's it. And then you come in, and then they meet you, and you talk about it, right? So tell people why you're going to waste their time, pretty much. So prepare those meetings and 50% of them, and it's best to have a time and place and know the venue, know where we're going. I'm going to meet there and there with you on that hour, because all these people have super tight schedules. So it's probably a queue waiting for them to meet up, and you have to be first. And you have to be interesting, you have to win that sale, even without coming to the conference. I would suggest leave 50% of your time for meetings to actually meet people, because you never know. That is also a beauty of tech conferences. Maybe you'll meet someone who knows someone who you didn't even imagine. So also leave some time for yourself. Prepare. This comes back to what Eddie was talking about, but I'm going to be more specific. Communicate the agenda of why you're meeting them first. Bullet points, I want to see because of this. This is a value for you because of that. And then people will make a decision. And it's good for two things. First of all, you get an early no, so you won't meet with the relevant people who just want to sell you stuff or are from Microsoft or somewhere. No offense. I met too many Microsoft people who want to sell me BizSpark, so just. Also, they will be able to see, like, good people, they obviously say, I can't help you, but I know a guy. But that's also important, to communicate the agenda, why you want to meet them. And thirdly, it's because you know, they put their meetings in buckets, and if they are especially relevant to what, if you are especially relevant to what they're looking for, they'll probably meet with you for longer. So it's also always good to know. If they're allocating you just a very small slot of their time, probably they're not too interested. So you have a good indication of how to plan your time. Take notes, work productively during the meeting. I'm surprised by how much, because we're hiring a lot of people in the company, in my company right now, and the basics that we go for is how to run a meeting productively. It's like how to take notes when you're sitting down. Maybe it's not being taught in schools or universities, but it's incredibly important for you to show respect to the person making notes, and actually make notes, because you will meet so many people, you will forget at the end of the day what your action points afterwards. All the best investors I met in my life, including one of the best names there, they all took notes, and it's not a weakness, it's a strength, taking notes. So do that, and you will show that you're a productive person, you're not wasting their time, and more importantly, they might get something out of you because you have a good work ethics. It just plays on your role. It's very good practice. After the meeting, so that's during the meeting. After the meeting, be very open and say, is this a dead ally? Ally means something that is not going to progress further. I mean, we met up, there was no chemistry, that person can help. What you should do then is follow up within 24 hours saying, it was nice to meet you, I hope to connect with you some other time. Always follow up, but always be very open. You don't think this is going well, don't waste your time. Equally, follow up with relevant people within 24 hours after meeting. Because in investor mind, or any person's mind, when they go there, they have a certain mind share allocated for that event. They expect you to get back to them within 24 hours. If you don't get back to them in 24 hours, they see you either incompetent, lazy, or you found someone else. Either way, they won't be less interested. So getting that lead is going to be less probable. And my last and most important is have fun and attend best talks. Even if you're there for a reason to actually meet people, I've made this mistake myself. I will go to a conference, and I spent like majority of last year going through conferences in all continents, or most continents, and I just don't see any of the speakers. And they're there for a reason. They're here to inspire you and make you productive and give something special, especially keynoters. So always find time to do that and look at the agenda, because you know, these conferences really go a long way. So it might seem obvious, and what usually happens when you go to a conference, but if you have a well-planned conference and tightly scheduled, this is also very important to keep this in mind. So that's it from me. These are the tricks. Maybe you have any questions that I could answer. Or I won't move you around, so if you have any questions, I think it's a good time to ask that.
How efficient is conferences for finding investors?
Very. But you have to pick the right conferences, and you have to do your prep work in advance.
Okay, the next question, how to pick the right conference?
Slush in Finland, log in here, TechCrunch Disrupt in Berlin, TechCrunch San Francisco, Demo Fall, there's a list of them, La Web in France. These are...
when you find a conference that you want to participate in, you just apply that, like let them know that
I mean, yeah, you need to track these conferences in advance. They usually are either early bird tickets that you can get cheaper, or usually if you are a student and you have a good story, I would advise that, because we also did that when we have money to pay. You write them a good email with a good story. I have this amazing idea. Most of those guys are startuppers or know a lot of startups. There's a heart there, and they will reply to you, and probably at least they can offer you a discount that others can get. So always go directly to the conference.
Is it expensive?
It depends. It depends. If you just want to have a pass, I don't remember the prices, but it can cost you up to, I don't know, 50 to 70 euros might be for a conference. Oh, I mean, it's more expensive than going to a pub. But for your business sake, I don't think it's an expensive activity to do. The more expensive is the time when you prepare. I would say that. Questions? Students used to be more willing to ask. Anyone of you been to login? How did you find it? Honestly. Great. And what did you like about it most?
I don't know, there were several things. I don't know, Silicon Valley about it also was very great because I found investors. I spoke with them. They said that please come to Silicon Valley. At this very time I have like different plans. So as you mentioned, have fun, be prepared, know what you're waiting for, what you are going for. So this is what I have, and I have no plan. So I'm following you. Everything is going great.
Good. So I mean, that's the thing. You know, always have some time that you can allocate to these unexpected meetings. Anyone else experiences from conferences, not login or others? Maybe I wasn't right about something. Not answering about the press release, dude. No.
At this stage of your startup, is there anyone else from your team who's going to conferences besides you?
Yes. My head of business development is going to the biggest conferences. And his goal there is to build partnerships and expand our network of investors. Because the way that we structure our deals is that it's a syndicate, so there's multiple investors. And even if that investor is not relevant now, well, if you come and you become later stage, so you have more of everything, and you are not early stage, the way that a lot of people put it these days, so it's a good network to build up. And, you know, and Thomas, our head of business development, spends quite a bit of time in these. He's traveling in Europe and going to US. So, yeah, we still invest money. Only I personally don't have time anymore to do it because I have a business to run. But it's still important.
You said or try to track any KPIs from conferences or something like that?
Well, I expect preparation, so I usually know what's the plan from my people that go there. And I know, oh, these are interesting, I want to meet them. These are less interesting, but I want to just have a chat. So, and then I follow up on the plan. So how was the meeting? So if they have 5 meetings, including Sequoia, Driesen, I don't know, Index, and someone else, and all of them led nowhere, so it's probably was something wrong either with the company, which I hope there isn't, or with the pitch. So, and you can make your own tweaks afterwards, right? But it usually doesn't happen. Usually it's quite a productive event. It follows up.
So how you are presenting your company, for example, because this was some examples with the previous speaker.
Right.
How you present your company, like you do in conferences?
Hello, my name is Daumantas. I'm co-founder and CEO at TransferGo, and TransferGo is the fastest growing early stage international money transfers company in Europe. Because I'm selling it to investors. What they need to know is growth, what we do. So international money transfers, they get it because they understand. Initially, my pitch was, we beat banks by 15 times when it comes to sending money across borders. And then they are interested, how do you do that? And then you go into, now we're in the later stage, so it's more about growth. Once we raise more money from more interesting people, then I will say, you know, we're backed by X or that. So it changes over time, but it's always about what that person that you're talking to wants to hear most, not what you want to communicate first. So for example, that conversation about your startup, you've spoken about technicalities, but you should have spoken about what's the end result. We increase productivity by 20%, right? Something like that, or whatever you do. And then, okay, you get it, you know?
Is it right to say that the presentational question should be like informative and also raise questions?
You can't answer everything. Your goal is to generate interest. So that's why it should be short, because these investors don't have, their attention spans are like 3-year-olds. I mean, they meet so many people, they just, you know, don't even bother. So if you spend like a minute of their time saying, I have a great idea, for example, and then doing extra sentences the way we call it, Eddie calls it bullshit, I have another name. But it just, you know, you're sort of interfering with your own chances to get the best result, because, you know, the quicker you are able to communicate, the better.
During these conferences, you're presenting yourself only to investors or as well to final customers?
Not to final customers usually. There are 3 main reasons why I go there, and why I'm here partially as well. So the first is investors, second is partnership, and third is recruitment. So I tend to meet interested and capable people in these conferences that understand tech, they're interested to do something interesting, pretty much. So for example, I'm here also to let more people that we're hiring for multiple positions in tech, in customer support, and from our Vilnius and London office, right? Because you always need to spread your word out and make sure that you have an audience for that. So I guess my goal here would be, you know, to talk to you people, meet people, and do that.
Talking about your meetings, dealing with the approach. So do you kind of know the people you're gonna meet, and do you plan your approach, or do you like just stamp your approach statically?
I don't believe in push sale in this kind of environment. You have to know the person you're meeting. Look at their LinkedIn. Look at what their interest is. Look at who are the common people. Find out about that person if that person is important. And then when you come in, you know how to play. You know what to say. You know, you have your own pitch, so you know what you're doing and you can express that. And then afterwards, you add additional things that will, you know, make you more interesting for that person or find some common ground. So it's always preparation, and it's never push. Only the first few sentences should be like a song, because you sing it and you just, every single time you sing it better. But you should in the morning, you should be woken up and you'll be able to say, you know, that first sentence about your company. That only sentence that a lot of people will hear. Apart from the body language, which is also important. So looking in the eyes might do more than that sentence sometimes. But, you know, that's a different story for a different topic, I would say. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much.